Imagine this. You're holding a book, not as entertainment, not as an escape, but as medicine. Not in the way pills are medicine, but in the way poetry is a balm. In the way stories crack you open, just enough to let a little light in. This isn't therapy in the clinical sense. There are no diagnostic codes here, no prescription pads. This is something older, quieter. Something that works in the background, while you're not paying attention. Stories like slow alchemy, turning confusion into clarity, sorrow into insight. That's what bibliotherapy is. It's reading with your soul, not just your eyes. You see, the right book doesn't shout advice at you. It whispers, so softly, you don't even know you're healing until you suddenly feel different. Maybe a little lighter. Maybe just a little more seen. Because sometimes the words you can't say out loud already live in someone else's pages. Have you ever noticed that when you're at your lowest, the noise of the world feels unbearable? Conversations feel hollow. Advice sounds scripted. But books, they wait for you. No judgment. No pressure to respond. Just presence. A library becomes a sanctuary for that reason. A place where pain is reflected back to you in safe, controlled forms. We cry for Anna Karenina, but also for ourselves. We flinch at Raskolnikov's guilt, because it echoes something buried deep. There's a kind of catharsis in that. Aristotle knew it. So did monks in the silence of old monasteries, copying ancient texts by candlelight. Reading isn't just consumption, it's communion. Depression is often misunderstood as a deficit of happiness. But what if it's something deeper? A hunger not for joy, but for meaning. The kind of meaning that modern life doesn't always offer. Endless scrolling, shallow conversations, productivity for productivity's sake. It wears you down. But books, classic books, have survived because they contain something time-tested. A map of the soul. A vocabulary for the things you didn't know how to describe. They don't just distract you from your pain. They help you organize it. Give it structure. And structure is the beginning of healing. Take the Brothers Karamazov. It's not a light read. It won't cheer you up in the conventional sense. But it will show you the machinery of the soul. The clashing gears of guilt, belief, and moral doubt. Ivan's intellectual torment. Alyosha's fragile faith. They are not solutions. They are invitations to witness your own contradictions and sit with them rather than running away. Or Mrs. Dalloway. A day in the life of a woman planning a party. But beneath the surface, rivers of memory, echoes of trauma. Clarissa and Septimus, separated by social class, united by internal fragmentation. Virginia Woolf doesn't fix their pain. She pauses with it, holds space for it. And maybe in reading her, you learn to do the same for yourself. Then there's Man's Search for Meaning. People quote it too casually. But if you really read it, slowly, vulnerably, it's devastating. Frankl's message isn't stay positive. It's this. Even in a concentration camp, stripped of everything, a human being can still choose how to suffer. That choice, that freedom, even in despair, is dignity. And the bell jar? Sylvia Plath doesn't romanticize depression. She writes it in its rawest, most suffocating form. But in doing so, she gives voice to the voiceless. For those who feel invisible, her honesty is a form of rebellion. Her pain, laid bare, becomes strangely empowering. Hermann Hesse understood this too. In Steppenwolf, he paints the soul not as one thing, but as many. Wild animal, refined intellect, playful spirit. It's not about choosing who you are. It's about letting all of you exist without shame. Therapy in that sense becomes a dance, not a diagnosis. And if you want clarity, read The Death of Ivan Ilyich. It's short, but it lingers. Ivan's slow march toward death strips away everything superficial. What remains? Not achievement, not status. Just the question, did I live honestly? Tolstoy doesn't offer comfort. He offers a mirror, a necessary one. Jane Eyre does something different. Her strength is quiet, steady. She resists emotional domination not with anger, but with resolve. Her refusal to be diminished, even when broken, is a blueprint for reclaiming your worth. Not through loud defiance, but through integrity. And then Siddhartha, a different kind of journey. Eastern, fluid. Less about fighting pain, more about observing it. Letting go of the ego's hunger for answers. Realizing that peace is not a prize, it's a remembering. A return to something already inside you. Of course, there's crime and punishment. Raw, unfiltered guilt. Raskolnikov tries to outthink morality. He fails, miserably. But in that failure, he finds humility. Redemption begins not with victory, but surrender. Finally, 100 years of solitude. A fever dream of memory, myth, and history. Marquez doesn't write about depression directly, but he shows what happens when a family, or a people, repress their pain for generations. The weight compounds, until someone remembers, and in the remembering finds release. Do you see the pattern? Each of these books, in their own way, teaches one truth. When you name your suffering, you give it shape. And once it has shape, it no longer controls you from the shadows. That's what bibliotherapy is. Not a fix, not a hack, but a ritual. So read slowly. Read when it hurts. Reread when it no longer does. Journal afterward. Reflect. Let the words settle. Let them ferment. You're not reading about someone else's story. You're decoding your own. And in the end, your bookshelf becomes something more than furniture. It's a mirror, showing you who you are, and a door, hinting at who you might become. You won't find all the answers in books, but you may find better questions. And sometimes, that's where healing begins.